The following is an AZPM original production.
For AZPM, I'm Mark McLemore, and this is Arizona Spotlight. Coming up, the Arizona Theater Company production of Master Class presents a dramatic portrait of the legendary opera diva Maria Callas. I'll talk with star Vicki Lewis and director Marcia Milgram Dodge about the play. A conversation with the co-founder of the International Uranium Film Festival, a worldwide project that opens people's eyes to the risks and the consequences of uranium mining, nuclear power, and nuclear waste. The annual Tucson Festival of Books will be held this weekend. I'll speak with first-time author Elliot Glicksman about taking part. And Stories That Soar is about the emotional turmoil that comes with kids sharing difficult feelings like sadness and depression. Those stories are next on Arizona Spotlight. Master Class is a Tony-winning play written by Terrence McNally. It tells a story based on true events from the life of opera diva Maria Callas, who was recognized as one of the greatest sopranos in the 20th century. Callas is giving a master class to students at an elite opera training program, where she encounters three different students who are each impacted individually by her artistry and advice. Joining me now is the actress portraying Maria Callas, the well-known Vicki Lewis, and the play's director, Marcia Milgram Dodge.
Terrence McNally, the playwright. Both Vicki and I have been lucky enough to work with him on some really exciting projects. He's no longer with us, so we feel very honored to carry on the legacy of Terrence's work and bring our inspiration and interpretation to this masterpiece, which won the Tony Award when it was originally done on Broadway.
Do you feel that it's truly integral to the story that it be about Maria Callas? Could it be about any diva?
That's interesting that you ask that, because Terrence got the idea to write the play going to a master class given by Leontine Price. And it happened when he was teaching at Juilliard, and he was having a rough time that day teaching playwriting, and he saw a sign that said, "Master class with Leontine Price at 4 o'clock," and he looked at his watch and it was 3:59, and he went into the class thinking, I'll escape for a couple of hours or I'll get inspired. And the first thing he thought was, this is highly theatrical. So I think that's when the seeds of this play began. And it was a good 6-7 years before he actually finished the play.
Vicki, how did you approach taking on this persona?
Well, I went through a lot of research. I had a distant impression of who Maria Callas was, so I listened to recordings of her, I read books about her, I listened to Terrence, what he had to say about what he had written, and I did that for months, and then I had to sit it all to the side and bring myself to it, because I think it's the essence of who she was, but it's not an imitation per se. So I try to find those things that line up with who I am, or who I'm capable of being. And then Marcia and I have always we've worked on a lot of pieces together. We've done Gypsy twice together, and Gypsy is the Macbeth of musical theater. I think it's the greatest musical theater book ever written. We've done a lot of this work within a musical, but to be able to get my hands on something that wasn't a musical. And so, and I like a challenge, and this is certainly a challenge. I don't think I stopped talking for two plus hours, And it's good. It's good for my old brain. You know what I mean? I'm 63, so you know how they say, you should do Wordle or sit and do... No, this is... I think I bought myself 10 years memorizing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the structure is such that you're on stage the whole time?
Yes.
And the other characters are coming into your sphere?
Yes.
Also, I understand there are flashbacks incorporated into the story.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, are there.
Yeah.
Those are arias. They're spoken, but they're arias.
Yeah.
And Maria as she's teaching, her own life is imbued in the lessons. And so then the monologues take over, and Maria goes a little mad throughout the play and goes reaching deep into her psyche and to her memory and to her insecurities and vulnerabilities. And the public persona is very different from the private persona. And Vicky gets to explore such a range of emotions and feelings. It's unlike any play I think I've ever worked on.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, on the Arizona Theater Company website, there are a few quotes from Maria Callas. And one really brief one that caught my eye is, "Mastery is a decision." How are you able to connect with that or to present that on stage?
She had a very difficult childhood, and they were very poor. So that was the only choice she could make, was to be tenacious and, work her craft so well that it got her up and out of there. She was a very heavy girl, very bad skin, bad eyesight. So she wasn't a looker, so to speak. And I think she just made that decision. And I understand that decision in a sense. It's like, I don't have privilege. I don't have, beauty in the sense that the world thinks of as beauty and ingenue or whatever you want. Now I think the world is changing and it's different. But I didn't have any of those things either. And I certainly didn't have money. So I knew what I wanted, and I just had a tenacious attitude about getting it. And I think when she starts to blossom, it's because, unfortunately, but Ari, what's his last name? Onassis finds her beautiful, and so she's able to find herself beautiful within the realm of his big, showy, shiny world. And then, of course, that's what ultimately breaks her. But I think and she says often, in the play, she says, when you are fat and ugly like I was, you can't afford to do A, B, and C. She references it a lot. So, I think it tracks.
You say that the students that Maria is really tutoring and mentoring in this piece are very different. Would you say that between the three of them, they are going to benefit and grow with what Maria is passing on to them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The sort of significant connections that Maria makes with each student connect to her own life. She was passed over by a young, pretty soprano, and the first student that comes in is a young, pretty soprano, and Maria manages to break her down and lift her up all in the same time, as well as conjure all the memories of her experience competing against a young soprano. And she has a very kind of adorable relationship with the accompanist who's there for the whole play. Maria's on stage talking, and Bobby McCoy, who's playing Manny, he's on stage supporting and playing all the music.
Vicky, staying with the idea of learning and being part of a group, a class of people, you were once part of a terrific repertory cast on TV on the show News Radio, which is one of my favorites, and I'm sure many of our listeners will remember it fondly. So what's something that you learned when you stepped in front of those cameras with that incredible team of people that you think carries with you as an actress today?
I mean, in terms of film and television, I always learned the most being in a room with actors, writers, and directors who were better than I was, who knew more than I did. I try to remain a pliable human being. I think it's important no matter where you are in the trajectory of your career. But in that particular room, they were so darn smart. It was a group of writers. It was a really fantastic group, and we're still like family. They were so smart. They also wrote so well. You didn't have to play a joke. So it pulled me back in terms of where the theater has a proscenium that we all know and see. The proscenium kind of became my forehead, and I was able to work within the confines of that. So I was doing a lot less, but I was thinking more. And I remember the end of the first night we were filming the pilot, and it was the last scene, and I was in the elevator doing a scene with Phil Hartman. And I just kind of left my body for a minute and hovered above and look what's happening. Like, what is this? This is insane. That was the best 6 years of my life. Just to be challenged and to laugh that hard and to, be in the company of such people at the top of their game. Yeah. It was a great experience. Yeah.
My guests were Broadway and Hollywood star Vicki Lewis and director Marcia Milgram Dodge. ATC's production of Master Class runs through March 23rd in Tucson before it heads to Phoenix in April. Oppenheimer, director Christopher Nolan's biopic about the life of the inventor of the atomic bomb, was one of 2023's most successful films. But excluded from that story was the impact that the quest to unlock the secrets of atomic power has had on many innocent people. To find films that tell those stories, one must turn to a project like the International Uranium Film Festival, which is making its return to Tucson next week. I spoke with one of the festival's co-founders who explains why these films deserve to be seen and understood.
My name is Norbert Suchanek. I'm a journalist from Germany living in Brazil as a correspondent. And together with my wife, Marcia, we created the International Uranium Film Festival. And we had the idea to make this festival in the year 2006 when I've been invited to Window Rock, to the Indigenous World Uranium Hearing.
Some people may have seen the movie Oppenheimer, but not know the history behind it. What is the association of the community of Window Rock with uranium mining?
Oh, it's very simple. Oppenheimer made the nuclear bomb with uranium from the region of the Navajo Nation. So Window Rock is the capital of the Navajo Nation, so it is the capital of the atomic bomb. Well, the film Oppenheimer missed this little detail that indigenous people of the Navajo Nation are suffering because of uranium mining since the building of the nuclear bomb. And there are now today about, I guess, more than 500 abandoned uranium mines. And they are still waiting to a cleanup.
Yeah, when the mining process started, was there any effort put forth to protect the workers? Were the dangers of uranium mining understood?
The Navajo uranium miners never were informed about the risk of radioactivity. They came back with their clothes full of radioactivity and contaminated their whole family. This happened not only in the Navajo Nation, it happened on all those uranium mining places in the United States and around the world. People who mined uranium were never informed about the real risks. We still do not have learned the total lesson. Really not. No.
I remember some years ago when our former Vice President Al Gore executive produced a documentary about climate change, and that film was called An Inconvenient Truth. Mm-hmm. Does that resonate with you in relation to your film festival, that often you might be preaching to the choir, as we say? The people who come to see your films are already motivated and activated by this topic, and the people who should be coming to see your films just don't want to.
Well, in fact, no, that's not the truth. Those films are not made for anti-nuclear movements. They are made for the people, because the whole population who are voting for presidents, are voting for their representatives in the parliaments, everybody must be informed. Because only if you are informed about the risks, you can make the right decision. The main target of our festival is to involve all people. There's billions of taxpayers' money going into nuclear power plants, or have gone into nuclear power plants. And there will be many billions of taxpayers' money going into how to do with the nuclear waste from nuclear power plants or from nuclear weapons production. So everybody's involved, either because he's a taxpayer or because he's living beside of a nuclear power plant.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody has to know the risks. The films are made by really good independent filmmakers who want to show the truth about this issue.
We'll offer a complete schedule of your upcoming appearances in Tucson, Austin, Asheville, North Carolina, for people to follow the tour. What does the Appalachian Turtle Island Tour mean? Why is that on your logo?
Oh, it's at Turtle Island. It's the same name like North America, but it's just Turtle Island is the name that the indigenous peoples of United States and Canada gave to their land, whole North America. And because our festival had its first start in Window Rock, 2006, I want to respect the indigenous people or the native peoples of the United States of America and Canada.
The International Uranium Film Festival will present 3 documentaries next week at the Screening Room in downtown Tucson. On Tuesday, March 12th, you can catch Radioactive, The Women of 3 Mile Island at 4 p.m., followed by the film Downwind at 6 p.m. The next day, the movie The Demon Mineral will play. That's on Wednesday the 13th at 4 p.m. We have a link for more information on the Spotlight page at azpm.org. The Tucson Festival of Books is happening this weekend on the U of A campus. A frequently asked question about the festival is how can a new or self-published author get noticed? Elliot Glicksman, a Tucsonan who is a retired lawyer, was also the opening act for stars like Jerry Seinfeld, Phyllis Diller, and Gilbert Gottfried during his stand-up comedy career. He's published his first book. It's called So Far, So Good, Answers to Questions I Should Have Been Asked. And although his effort to market the book amounted to about 3 Facebook posts, Glicksman secured a spot at the Tucson Festival of Books. I asked him to tell us more.
I was a lawyer here in Tucson for 42 years, past president of the Arizona Trial Lawyers, also past president of a support group for families of homicide victims called Homicide Survivors, Inc., which is an advocacy and support group. And I started the Tucson Jazz Festival in 2014 and was its president until just about 1 year ago.
So you've been very involved in the Tucson community, more so than most people. You've taken time out of your personal life to give us something.
Well, that's awfully nice of you to say. I always thought if you get involved in things that you enjoy, it's sort of a win-win for you in whatever you're doing. It might help you professionally, but even if it doesn't, you're doing something you enjoy that's good for the community. That's when I would try and get sponsors for the Tucson Jazz Festival, which when it started, I was like Harold Hill raising money for a boys band. I had nothing to show people, but I was able to convince people that if you put money in and this thing takes off, it's going to help you. It's going to help your reputation in the community. And if it doesn't get you business or doesn't get you new clients or customers, it's still going to do something nice for the community. That's sort of my approach to marketing. Yeah. So I have a question, since we're just rambling now. Well, I have a question.
This is the interview.
Okay, can I still ask you a question?
Absolutely.
So why AZPM? It sounds to me like a sleep medicine. It sounds like something I should be taking at night when I'm drowsy. You turn on AZPM and you go right to sleep. I mean, why not AZFM and AZAM and AZTV? But AZPM, doesn't that sound to you like a sleep medicine?
Now that you say it, yeah. I've never thought of it before.
Oh, boy, I'm getting a little tired, but I can't fall asleep. Let's take that AZPM, especially during Pledge Week. That'll put you right out.
You're on Pledge Week, you know.
I am?
Yeah, this is Pledge Week. A lot of people who are first-time authors or who are self-published wonder what is the best path to the Tucson Festival of Books. And you, this year, you did choose a path. So tell us what you're doing at the festival.
I'm going to be in the indie tent on Sunday. I was supposed to be in from 1:30 to 4:30, but I'm moderating a panel, and I don't want to leave it early. And so I'll be in the indie tent from 1:30 to 4:30. And the way I got that gig is I just submitted my book along with $45. And I I was selected, which is really nice because it was sort of validation that what I wrote was okay.
Well, I think what you wrote is very funny, but it also crosses some lines occasionally for people. But as I told you on the way in, Elliot, I never felt you were being disingenuous. I felt like you were writing exactly what you thought and felt about things in your life. How did you know yourself, though, when you had written something funny? What barometer did you use to test that?
That's a really interesting question, Mark. Most of the things I wrote were old stand-up comedy routines I had done that I had aged out of. And the real interesting thing with stand-up comedy is you can write something and you think it's funny and the audience will let you know if it is or isn't. And that was sort of the barometer. But when I wrote things that I had not done as a comedy piece, like the piece on pillows that my wife insists on putting on our bed, or things like that, you really don't know until you get some feedback from readers. And that's a very tough thing, putting yourself out there. Comedy's really, when you do stand-up comedy, that's instantaneous. You do it, you get a laugh, it's good. You get crickets, maybe I got to work on that bit or scrap it.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Elliot, did your wife give you feedback on the book?
My wife, who I've been married to for 39 years, knows exactly the sort of things I'm going to say and do. And my wife, who is like the kindest, quietest, most thoughtful person, is a great counterpoint to me. And she approved the book.
I like how you went from small things like the number of pillows that currently live on your bed, but then you would go from something like that into amendments to the Constitution.
Yeah.
Like there was an incredible breadth of the everyday and the larger than life.
You know, it sort of came to me, it sort of segued because I can't win against the NRA, but I have a shot on the pillow wars. I've got a little shot that maybe I can get one or two less pillows, because it's not just the pillows. It's the fact that there's a certain order I have to take them off the bed, and I can't pile the big pillows on the little ones, and the teddy bear has to have his place. Or hers, I don't know the gender of the bear.
Intrinsic to your relationship with your wife, Lorraine, is also the parenthood that you share. And there was a very funny but maybe brief section where you talked about training films. And you and I grew up at a time when we were shown the most horrific things in health class or driver's ed. And I enjoyed that little riff about training films and how they maybe set your expectations.
I think if they showed you the films that they showed to me during pregnancy, if they'd shown those before, we would not have had children. They would be the best advertisement for birth control. They try and give them pretty titles, but they're really horrifying. I mean, they say, like, we're going to watch Natural Childbirth, Labors of Love. Aw. Or, hey,
it sounds nice.
Yeah. How about Cesareans, a slice of life? Oh gosh, that's like the movie Alien. I really, it's awful. And the guy does nothing in the birth. The whole thing's silly for what a guy does.
Well, I already asked you about your wife's reaction to your writing, but all children are embarrassed of their fathers at some point in their life. Where are you at right now with your kids?
Well, they embarrass me. They are such an embarrassment and such a disappointment in so many ways that I really don't care what they think. No, they haven't read the book. I don't think. I gave them all a copy. I've gotten zero feedback.
If it makes you feel better, Elliot, I have it on good word that they're not going to listen to this broadcast. So you can say what you want. It's okay.
They really are great kids, and they're beautiful kids. They could be in a picture frame at Walgreens. Well, two of them. The third one, not so much, but two of them are very good looking.
Something very relatable about your book that comes up a lot is, are you familiar with the term imposter syndrome?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So why is it that imposter syndrome resonates so much throughout your writing?
You know, it's really funny because I'm moderating two panels at the book festival, and one of them are 3 female comedians or comic writers, all of whom have written about imposter syndrome. But the fact is, you know, you're doing these lawsuits and you're doing these cases and you're doing these things against these terrific lawyers, and you wonder, how did I get here? And then even when you win a case, you wonder about it. When you lose a case, that's when imposter syndrome really hits. You lose a case and you're like, I have no business being here. I don't know what I'm doing. It's a real thing. I think it's more prevalent among women from what I've read and heard, but I think we all have it. I mean, Mark, are you really comfortable that you're that good doing this? Do you really feel like you're that good?
No.
Okay, see, and you've been doing this for 30 years, you know?
Since the 50s, actually.
Since the 50s?
Yeah, people don't know that about me.
How old are you? Good Lord.
When you think of someone who is practicing law, though, you never think about insecurity being part of the formula. But in comedy, expressing some insecurity can often work for people.
Comedy has changed a lot. It changes every decade. I mean, if you look at comedy from the 1920s, it's nothing like comedy today, or the 1950s, or the 60s. And I think it's a good thing. Comedy has become much more sensitive to people that used to be the butt of jokes, underrepresented people.
Yeah, it's not appropriate to punch down.
And you don't punch down anymore.
Right.
And what I do is most of my humor now is self-deprecating. You know, I have a lot to be modest about. I have a lot to be humble about. It's very easy for me to poke fun at my height, my insecurities, my concerns about aging, all sorts of things.
You're terribly tall.
Thank you. That's the beauty of being on radio, I guess, Mark. You can be whatever you want to
My
be.
neck is craning as we speak.
Yes. You're going to need a chiropractor visit from staring up like this. But it really has. Comedy has changed. And I think it's for the better. I think people say, oh, you're too politically correct. But the fact is, getting jokes at the expense of marginalized segments of the population really isn't right. And that's a good thing. I mean, you watch an old Johnny Carson show and you see suggestions about people being gay or the blatant sexism, which at the time was acceptable and getting huge laughs. No one would do that today. And so constantly comedy evolves.
You know, talking to you, I feel like it is important for you to give a shout out to somebody that you called your best friend. Because he's well known to people here in Tucson. And if they know who you call your best friend, they may calibrate their opinion of this interview.
So are you saying they'll like me better because David Fitzsimmons is my best friend? Well, God, scream it from the mountaintops. David is my best friend. I love David. I'm sort of like a Swiftie for Fitz. I'm a Fitzy. And David actually is the one who encouraged me to write the book. David's such a good writer. He really is. He's become such an excellent writer. I mean, he started, as you know, as a political cartoonist, but now his writing is he's gotten more and more skillful and articulate and clever. We used to do a lot of comedy routines together in the 80s, in the 2000s. In fact, we just did our last show in December, the Arroyo Cafe show, which raised, I think, $15,000 for charity. And David said, I'm retiring from public speaking, which is how I got the moderator gigs at the Festival of Books. They said, oh, Fitz can't do it. Let's get this schmo in here. So anyway, and I said, I can't do jokes anymore about how to name a baby or birthing classes. I'm too old for it. I'll be 70 this year. I can't, it doesn't work. He goes, you should take them and write them as a series of short stories. So David was actually the impetus for me writing this.
Elliot Glicksman's first book is So Far, So Good, Answers to Questions I Should Have Been Asked. It's classified in the memoir, essay, and creative nonfiction categories, published by A3D Impressions. We'll have a link to Elliot's Tucson Festival of Books schedule on the Spotlight page at azpm.org. The Tucson nonprofit Literacy Connects sponsors a professional group of performers and musicians called Stories That Soar. Their mission is to help young writers realize the potential of bringing their stories to life across all mediums. Next, we'll hear a story from Valentina, a fifth grader at Robinson Elementary, who shares a story about two siblings who are grappling with some difficult emotions.
Once upon a time, there were two kids, a boy and a girl. They were sad. They had depression. They were done with life, but they also didn't want to make their parents sad.
Dinner's ready.
Coming.
So, how was your day at school?
It was fine.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
They pretended they're okay for so long, but they still had depression. Whenever their mom asked how they were,
Hey, are you kids okay?
well,
Ugh. Just a second.
We're fine.
Are you sure?
don't worry about us, Mom.
All right, but tell me if you need anything, okay? I'm always here for you. I love you too.
We love you too.
They didn't want to worry their parents.
They were sad because they lied to their mom. They were tired, but they didn't want to tell their mom.
Because what if she has problems too?
Hey, I have a huge favor to ask you. Can you pick up the kids from school tomorrow? I have to work, and I'm just not going to be able to get off in time, and I don't know what I'm going to do. They don't have a ride. Oh, thank you so much. I owe you. Seriously, thank you. Oh, what a nightmare. Hey, kids, your aunt's going to pick you up from school tomorrow because I can't get off work in time. I'm so sorry.
It's okay, Mom.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's okay.
They always put on a big smile. But Mom's still worried.
What is going on with them?
The next day,
Dinner's ready. So, how was your day?
can we tell you something?
Of course, you can tell me anything.
Well,
we have depression.
Why didn't you tell me? I could have been there for you. Come here. I love you too. And I'm always going to be here for you, okay? Always.
That was written by Valentina, a fifth grader at Robison Elementary. Go Roadrunners. Aspiring student-age writers can submit their stories now to the Magic Box Story Portal at literacyconnects.org. Listen for more Stories That Soar every month on Arizona Spotlight. Thank you for listening. This show is a production of AZPM. The production engineer is Jim Blackwood. Production assistance by Alicia Vasquez. I'm producer and host Mark McLemore.
AZPM podcasts are made possible in part by donations from listeners like you. Learn more at support.azpm.org. Thank you.